You know that specific type of panic that hits when someone waves at you across the street, walks straight up with a huge smile, and you realize with absolute certainty that you have no idea what their name is. Not a clue, not even close. And the closer they get, the more your brain starts frantically flipping through filing cabinets that apparently don't exist. Sarah? Steven? Did it start with an M? Were they even at that thing last month, or was that someone else entirely? And here's the thing that makes it worse. You remember other things about them. You remember they have a dog that's scared of plastic bags. You remember they told you about their sister's wedding in Portugal. You remember the exact tone of their laugh. But their name? It's like your brain took that one piece of information, looked at it, and said, "No thanks, we're full." If this is your life, if you've spent years quietly convinced that you're somehow broken or rude or just fundamentally bad at being a person, I need you to hear this. The way your brain handles names isn't a deficiency. It's actually revealing something really specific about how your mind processes the world. And once you understand what's actually happening, the shame starts to lift. Let's talk about what names actually are, neurologically speaking. A name is what cognitive scientists call a pure referent. It's a label with no inherent meaning attached to it. The word table conjures an image. The word coffee triggers smell, taste, maybe a memory of a specific morning. But Jennifer or Michael, unless you already know a Jennifer or Michael, is just sound, random syllables with no emotional weight, no sensory anchor, no story. Your brain is an incredibly efficient pattern recognition machine. It holds on to information by connecting it to networks that already exist. This is why you can hear a song once and remember it for decades. It connects to emotion, to rhythm, to a moment in time. But a name, presented in isolation during a handshake while you're also trying to look friendly and figure out if you're supposed to know this person already, that name has nowhere to stick. It's a data point floating in space with nothing to grab onto. There's actually fascinating research on this from neuroscientist Laura Zaitchik and her team at Harvard. They studied patients with very specific types of brain damage, people who could recognize faces perfectly, recall detailed biographical information, but could not retrieve names. The part of the brain responsible for name recall, particularly in the left temporal lobe, operates almost independently from other memory systems. It's like having a filing cabinet that only opens with a specific key, and if that key gets misplaced, everything else still works fine. You just can't access that one drawer. But here's where it gets interesting. The people who struggle most with names often excel at something else entirely: contextual memory. These are the people who remember where you met you, what you were wearing, the exact phrasing of something funny you said 3 months ago. Their brains are recording the entire scene, the full sensory experience, the emotional texture. They're just not bothering with the label. Think about it like this. Imagine you're at an art gallery, standing in front of a painting that moves you. You notice the brushstrokes, the way the light hits the canvas, the emotion it stirs in your chest. Someone next to you says, "That's catalog number 4782B," and then they walk away. A week later, someone asks you, "Hey, what was the name of that painting?" You have no idea, but you could describe it in vivid detail. You could tell them how it made you feel. The catalog number was never the point. Names, for a lot of people, are catalog numbers. The actual person, their energy, their mannerisms, the story they told you, that's the painting, and your brain is designed to remember paintings, not catalog numbers. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, social anxiety. Because there's a very specific type of person who forgets names, and it's often someone whose brain is running multiple programs at once during social interactions. While you're meeting someone, you're also monitoring. Do I seem interested enough? Am I standing too close? Did I interrupt them? Should I make a joke here, or will it land wrong? Psychologist Roy Baumeister's research on ego depletion is relevant here. Your brain has limited cognitive resources at any given moment. If you're spending those resources on self-monitoring, essentially being hyper-aware of how you're being perceived, there's less bandwidth available for encoding new information. The name comes in, but there's no processing power left to store it. It's not that you don't care, it's that your brain was busy caring too much about everything else. And here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody really talks about. For some people, forgetting names is also a symptom of being genuinely overwhelmed by people in general. not in a misanthropic way, but in an I'm already holding too many people in my head and I genuinely do not have room for one more way. If you're someone who maintains deep, emotionally attentive relationships with the people in your inner circle, your brain might be legitimately at capacity. Adding new names feels like trying to download a file when your hard drive is full. It's not personal, it's structural. There's a beautiful passage from neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett's work on how the brain constructs reality. She talks about how your brain is constantly predicting what's about to happen based on past experiences, and it only pays attention to things that violate those predictions. If you meet someone in a context where names don't usually matter much, a crowded party, a conference, a brief encounter at a coffee shop, your brain might not even flag the name as important information worth storing. It's not making a value judgment about the person, it's making a practical judgment about the situation. But let's be honest about the other side of this too. If you're the person whose name gets forgotten, it stings. It feels like evidence that you're forgettable, that you didn't make an impact, that you're easy to erase. And that feeling is valid. It's not irrational to want to be remembered. Names carry identity. They carry the hope that we matter to someone beyond the moment we're standing in front of them. So, if you're the person who forgets, here's what helps. Stop trying to remember names the way you think you're supposed to. Stop repeating it in your head like a mantra. Instead, attach it to something. Ask where their name comes from. Notice how it sounds. Connect it to a person you already know, even if it's arbitrary. Oh, Alex, my cousin's middle name is Alex. Your brain needs a hook, and you have to build that hook manually because it won't do it on its own. But more importantly, give yourself permission to let go of the shame. You're not a bad person for forgetting names. You're not selfish or careless or broken. You're someone whose brain prioritizes depth over labels, emotion over data points, the full human in front of you over the shorthand we use to refer to them later. The name was never the most important part anyway. What you remember, the way someone made you feel, the details they shared, the version of themselves they let you see, that's what actually matters. That's the part that says you were paying attention. That's the part that says they weren't invisible to you. And honestly, that's worth a lot more than remembering they go by Chris instead of Christine. If this made something click for you, I'd love to hear about it. Subscribe if you want more of these deep dives into why we are the way we are, and check out the videos on screen. There's more where this came from.